I'm Ian Dille.
And I am Michael Sheehan. We are in the town square of Oudenaarde, where we are going to see the Tour of Flanders finish in just over 1 week's time next Sunday. We do, however, have some races to talk about in the meantime.
The mini Tour of Flanders E3 BinckBank Classic, also known as E3 Harelbeke, just wrapped up. We're going to take a look at what this race means to the monument that is coming, the Tour of Flanders, and also look ahead to Ghent-Wevelgem on Sunday. Let's get into this race. It really opened up at about 80 kilometers when Peter Sagan just went nuts on the Tyenberg climb.
Yeah, Peter Sagan, he really opened it up. We saw a really hectic run into this first cobbled climb. Sagan attacked. A group started to form, but nothing could really get solidified. No elite group could form this far out, but Bob Jungels took full advantage of this and managed to bridge himself up to the day's breakaway not long after.
Yeah, I have no idea how you let Bob Jungels go after what he did to the peloton at Kern-Brussels-Kern. It is clear that he is far and away the strongest rider, maybe not the fastest finisher, but certainly the strongest rider on Quick Step right now, and really set the entire race up for them.
Yeah, you know, I have said this time and time again, and I truly believe it. I think that Bob Jungels is the strongest man in the world, and when this guy attacks, alarm bells just have to go off, because he wasn't caught until 6K to go today. He went with 60K out, and it took the fastest guys in the world pretty much all of that time to reel him in.
Yeah, I would say it was really the second strongest man in the world right now, Greg Van Avermaet, who was pulling the entire group by himself into the base of the Paterberg, attacked on the Paterberg, drew out the favorites we kind of all expected, Wout van Aert, Peter Sagan, Matteo Trentin was in there. Also some surprises, Alberto Bettiol from EF, having a great ride. All these riders working relatively well together until Van Avermaet just went nuts again with about 15 kilometers to go. Just Van Aert was able to stay with him along with Bettiol, and Zdeněk Štýbar, who took his very first pole of the entire race at 6 kilometers to go when they finally brought Jungels back.
Yeah, again, just tactical brilliance by Quick Step, having Jungels up the road, while the favorites just had to work and work and work to bring him back. It set up Štýbar perfectly, and he did take the win. You know, you mentioned Alberto Bettiol having a fantastic ride. He came in 4th today, and I think that if we can just rewind for a second, we saw Sepp van Mark land in a ditch with about 80K to go. That was really, really hard to see because he is, of course, EF's chosen Classics favorite, and between Alberto Bettiol in the front group and then Sebastian Langeveld one group back, had Sepp van Mark managed to not crash out, I think that EF would have had a extremely strong and kind of, by their standards, uncharacteristic card to play today.
Yeah, you know, Sepp has always been incredibly strong, incredibly tactically smart in these cobbled classics, and now he finally has a team, it seems, to back him up. Taylor Phinney was not racing today, but when he joins the team, it's another added level. Well, hopefully Sepp is okay and can race at the Tour of Flanders because EF is looking super strong. I was surprised that Štýbar put in 2 stinging attacks with 3 kilometers to go. To me, you know, at first it seemed like he was lacking confidence. He was trying to get away from this group of favorites before it came down to a sprint. I think it turned out that he was actually just that confident. He put in 2 just brutal attacks and then won the field sprint relatively easily.
Yeah, you know, he did have a pretty comfortable ride all the way to the finish, but I've got to say, everyone in the top 5 in today's race, they earned it. They rode so hard. It was a pretty brilliant finish to watch. Go watch the replay on Flo if you have not yet seen it.
Yeah, I think one takeaway is Peter Sagan appeared to have a mechanical when Van Avermaet was attacking, so he was not a factor in the finish, I think, which will play out the rest of this week, Ghent-Wevelgem, Tour of Flanders. The main takeaway for me is, how do you beat Quick Step? This is a team that has literally won every classic so far this year. Omloop, Strade Bianche, Milan-San Remo, and now E3.
Yeah, how do you beat Quick Step? I can't really tell you. I think that other teams are going to have to put a priority on hard early racing, and just try to put Quick Step on the back foot throughout the entire race, because if Quick Step has numbers in the final 50K, they have just too many cards to play.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of these other World Tour teams are going to have to take some risks, send some strong riders up the road early, burn some matches. You know, the early move only had one World Tour rider in it who had a phenomenal ride.
It had two. There was a movie star rider as well as Mark Hirschi. But yeah, let's talk about Mark Hirschi.
Yeah, this is the under-23 world champion, only 20 years old. Great signing by Sunweb. He was 6th at the under-23 Flanders last year, and he was the only rider who could stay with Jungels on the Paterberg, some of these incredibly steep cobbled climbs, and just a really breakout ride for him.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot more of Mark Hirschi, 20 years old, and the ride he had today holding on for 10th place, that was pretty incredible.
Let's get into what we're going to see on Sunday with Ghent-Wevelgem. This race, sort of known as a Sprinters Classic, but completely unpredictable. 2 passes of the Kemmelberg, and in between this new gravel sections, the Plug Streets, and just a windswept 35-kilometer run into the finish. It's really going to depend how the weather plays out in terms of whether we'll see a reduced field sprint, a strong breakaway, or even a larger group coming to the finish.
Sagan is there, but here comes Viviani. It's Peter Sagan for a 3rd time.
Yeah, we are seeing early weather reports showing maybe a bit of rain and wind, in contrast to what we saw today at E3, which looked like a really nice summer day in Belgium almost.
Yeah, who is your pick for the men's and the women's race? Let's start with the men, I guess.
For the men's race, I'm Elia Viviani. If you remember last year's Ghent-Wevelgem, he had absolute heartbreak at the line to Peter Sagan. Had a little bit of a meltdown after the race, but Viviani pretty much since that day has gone on to win pretty much everything he set his mind to. He seems to be the most imposing sprinter in the bunch. I think that everybody is going to have their work cut out for him to keep him and Quick Step away from another victory.
Is Julian Alaphilippe racing?
Alaphilippe could be an upset for Viviani, but I don't think he's actually on the start list just yet.
All right, then I'm going to go with Greg Van Avermaet. I know it's not necessarily a course that suits his skill set, but I mean, just how strong he was riding today. I think if he rides maybe just a little bit smarter, he can win this bike race. In the women's race, I'm going to go with Marta Bastianelli, the European champion, 2-time winner of Ghent-Wevelgem, including in 2018. She has been on incredible form this year, top 10 in almost every race she's done. So if there is a group containing her coming to the line, she is going to win this race.
I am tipping Chantal Black, the former world champion. She won this race in 2016, and she is also having an incredibly stellar 2019 season. Another rider in the women's race that I would like to draw some attention to is Chantal Black's very young teammate, Skylar Schneider. I was racing crits in America when Skylar Schneider was a 17-year-old winning basically everything. Since then, she has come over to Europe, and she is being really well developed by the Boels-Dolmans team, and she has a proper classics campaign really set out for her this year, and I'm excited to see what she's going to do riding in support of the big stars of the sport.
Tune in live or on demand on FloBikes Sunday, March 31st, and we will be back for a recap and a preview of Dwars Door of Landeren then.
We'll see you then.